Hello, I'm Debbie Heinzman, and this is my presentation for my cross-gender activity. I've always engaged in cross-gender activities. I was a tomboy as a youth, preferred the company of boys to girls as a teen, and worked in a couple male-dominated fields as a young adult. I left this rather non-traditional chapter behind me when I decided to stay home with my two younger children, and didn't expect to encounter it again. That changed when I took my daughters to Two Sentinels Girl Scout camp in 2004. I fell in love with camp, began attending work parties, and after a few years was asked to take over site management duties. Previously, this job was always done by males, usually the husbands of the camp directors or their relatives and friends. This presentation is about that experience, which continues today. For historical context, Two Sentinels and other camps in the West were built as works progress administration projects during the Great Depression by the Civilian Conservation Corps. The CCC was comprised mostly of young, unmarried men. According to the Forest Service, in California alone, there was a quota of 31,500 individuals per Otis, Honey, Hogg, and Lakin, 1986. Their job was to protect and improve national forest land, which included such construction. There were some CCC camps for unmarried women, but the focus was completely different. The camps stressed academic classes and home economic skills such as health education, home nursing, sewing, basketry, and painting, and the program was not to prepare women for the workforce or teach them vocational skills, but to reinforce their domestic roles within the family, per Speolda and Lewis, 2003. As a matter of fact, in the 1930s, 26 of 48 states had laws prohibiting married women from working outside the home. Curl, 2008. This construct dovetails with our readings regarding the evolution of women's roles in this country, stemming from the Victorian ideal of women being fragile, unable to physically or mentally handle strenuous activity or labor. Henderson, 1996. After construction was completed, the facilities were turned over to organizations such as the Girl Scouts to manage, a job mostly done by women. Maintenance, however, appears to have continued to be male-led. This follows the cultural norms for the United States, outlined in our text and other places, that occupations such as plumbing, carpentry, mechanics were reserved for men and frowned upon or even disallowed for women. The Rosie the Riveters during World War II were an exception, but those women were let go and discouraged from continuing their work when the men came home at the war's end, per Henderson, 1996. Additionally, men have traditionally spent more time in the outdoors at higher rates than women, per Christensen, Williams, and Clark, 1987. And in the typical middle-class United States home, it always was common knowledge that men have long been afforded the outdoor chores of fixing broken appliances, cars, etc., and taking care of the yard. Because of these cultural factors, it makes sense that Two Sentinels did not ever have a female site manager before me. Change in this area has been slow, as you can see from these pictures from a camp maintenance conference in the Adirondack area in 2015. There are women attendees here, but the majority of them are men. As women continue to make inroads into non-traditional occupations, hopefully these numbers will increase. My experiences, especially in the beginning of my tenure, mirrored much of what we have studied. I remember a meeting with the men I was taking over for in 2007. I asked my husband to be there, and most of the discussion about what needed to be done was then directed to him rather than me. I was concerned that I didn't know much, that I would not be able to handle the work. For the first couple of years, I often called upon the previous managers for assistance. Now, I seldom, if ever, need to. The reason I didn't step up before was twofold. First of all, I was a stay-at-home mother of younger children, and by choice in charge of most domestic chores. My husband's job took him out of town often, and the timing of the trips was unpredictable. The other reason was my negative experiences in the late 1970s as a chemical plant operator and in the mid-1980s as a diesel mechanic. These pictures are from my mechanic job. Both positions provided me a great income, but I paid a steep emotional price for my attempts to make a living wage without a college degree. I was harassed in both workplaces as taking a job from a man with a family, even though I was a single parent at the diesel shop. And I was disrespected by enough of my coworkers that in both cases I quit rather than continue to try to be successful. This activity has challenged me to learn new skills, such as sweating copper pipe, basic carpentry, and forced me out of my comfort zone. Over the years, I've been afraid I wouldn't do something right, make a situation worse, or that my solutions to problems we encountered would fail. I hesitated to correct men who came to work parties, even when I knew better. Now I have earned the trust and respect of the camp dads and my fellow directors, and have more confidence. I'm told several times a year that I'm an inspiration to young women, that they too can handle such a job, and I feel proud that a woman manages the site systems of a Girl Scout camp. I'm happy to volunteer in this way, and hope to do it for many years to come.